What's up, everybody? Well, here we are, back to a regular vlog video, something about technology type stuff, and I mentioned last time that the Blue Yeti has died, sadly, and just look at him. It's almost like an expression of superiority that the piece of junk Radio Shack mic that's over 10 years old still works perfectly, while that thing is dead after less than 2 years. I picked up this Blue Yeti in fall of 2011, one of the last AV type purchases I bought before the layoffs, and it's been less than 2 years. And I like the fact that I can squeeze a windscreen over the top of it. It's made for a microphone this size. It's squeeze it and it fits over the top. Kind of wears out the foam, so you can't use it on another mic. But what are you gonna do? I also have a pop filter for it, but I obviously don't have any use for it now that this isn't working. This isn't working anymore. But I got this in 2011, and I've liked the sound quality of the Blue Yeti. I can definitely recommend Blue Yetis in terms of sound quality. However, unfortunately, there's some questionable design decisions and some technical issues with this microphone that I've mentioned before. Now, one of the reasons that I had to revert back to using my old Optimus for console recording is this thing has its own sound processor. Focus! Do I really need to switch this back to automatic mode? Anyways, this thing has its own sound processor. When you plug it into a computer via USB, it's treated like a separate sound device, which is both a blessing and a curse. The good part of this is that if you have a piece of junk netbook with like a Realtek or Conexant or whatever piece of junk sound chip that doesn't have much for sound quality, you can use this microphone to bypass your crappy sound chip and get some good recordings, even though you have a Blue netbook sound chip thing in where your laptop, netbook, computer, desktop, whatever you use. So it's good for bypassing crappy sound equipment. However, if you have good sound equipment, it means you can't use it, or any of the features that are in there with it. So I can't use any of my EAX effects to add like echo and reverb to anything I record with this. I gotta record it dry, and then use software or recapturing it using hardware, re-recording it with the EAX effects added on, using What You Hear channel on something like this thing or the main system. It just adds extra steps to the recording process. Also, because this is its own separate sound device, I can only use it for PC games because Fraps lets you use 2 inputs at once, whereas the capture card and something like this only lets you use 1 input at once for sound. So it's had its issues. But the big thing that I dislike about this is the design choices. This microphone, when I picked it up, cost about as much as a Shure SM58, which is a concert-style mic similar to this Optimus, that I could have gotten for the same price. It wouldn't have had as many features, but Shure SM58s are the long-running standard for entry-level serious audio recording. If you want to record with a microphone like this, and you want it to sound decent, you're at least going to want to spend $99 or whatever it costs, depending on whether or not you can get it on sale, for a Shure SM58. I picked this up because of its flexibility and its ability to be used with like netbooks and stuff, and its stereo and its interview modes as well. Unfortunately, like many other devices that are built in a similar fashion as what I call miniaturization devices, where a company takes a professional grade something or another and makes a smaller consumer version of it, this has some catch-22s. Excuse me, allergies and congestion and stuff. I might cough a little in some of these videos. First, this is cheap. This is cheap plastic, as are the gain and the pickup pattern selector knobs on the back. I don't like the cheap plastic used in those. The rest of the microphone is solid metal. Matter of fact, it's so heavy that it practically falls over under its own weight if you're not constantly tightening it, which is something I don't like with the default stand. However, probably the single worst thing, and I'm going to need a flashlight for this. Probably this thing will stay on. Maybe I need to charge up the batteries. The single worst thing about the Blue Yeti microphone is its USB port. Look at this thing. It's going to be hard. Yeah, see that? See what happened? The little plastic bit that's supposed to be on those pins to get a good mechanical connection is gone. All that's in there now is just pins, which is bad. Why is this such a bad thing? Well, the little mini USB goes in, and it has a hard time staying in. It's very, very loose, very, very wiggly. It's very loose, it's very wiggly. So yeah, see, this thing still has this plastic bit in it. There's supposed to be a little plastic bit inside this port, too. So yeah, see, I got his pins in there. Let me go get something else that actually still works to compare it. Here's my piece of junk Rosewill $20 card reader. Zoom in really closely. Yeah, you see the bit of plastic? That piece of plastic, that's what's missing from this thing. Now, the problem with not getting a good USB connection is that this is treated like a separate sound device. So when this thing comes unplugged, it uninstalls in the system. When this thing comes unplugged, it uninstalls from your system. And when that happens in a program like Audacity, it can crash your program or freeze it, and you lose all your work because you don't get a chance to save. I can turn this twisty flashlight thing off. Let's see here. I'm trying to turn the flashlight off, and I'm turning it the wrong way. There we go. Flashlight's off. All right. So, I hate this because the Blue Yeti, which is the more expensive of their USB mics, has this piece of crap mini USB jack similar to a card reader. But if you look at the Blue Snowball actually has... It actually has one of those bigger D-shaped USB jacks, very similar to what you'd expect to find in something like a printer or a scanner or something like that, which is notably more has more bulk to it as far as the mechanical connection goes. And here's the thing with how versatile this mic is supposed to be. Why they went with an itty-bitty port like that instead of trying to find some way to squeeze in a D-shaped USB jack is beyond me. This thing has always been a little. Oh yeah, look at that. One of the screws it's already almost completely stripped, threaded, whatever you call it. Look at that. That's factory too. I didn't try to take this thing apart yet. You have the little mini plug there as well, and then of course you have this stand, which if you're not constantly tightening it, eventually the mic starts falling over because of its weight. Overall, I hate this design. I mean, it's worked great for sound quality, but now it's really hard to use without possibly bumping it and stuff like that, and the microphone uninstalling and possibly freezing Audacity. Now, mind you, this device cost about as much as a Shure SM58 back when I bought it. Got it on sale for like 90-something. If you buy it from the wrong e-tailer, like Newegg right now has these things at close to their regular price, you'll spend well over $100 for it. So it's very easy just to pay more for this thing than a Shure SM58, which is sold at $99 all over the place on a very regular basis. Matter of fact, I even took a look at Shure.com, and even they're selling their SM58s for $99. But the saddest part is that this microphone didn't even make it 2 years before the USB jack snapped. Meanwhile, this old workhorse, Optimus Radio Shack piece of crap with ding marks all over it from all the times this thing has been, and it has a permanently connected cord too, no XLR jack or anything. This piece of junk, after over 10 years, still works. And I picked up this stand for it to start using it for console footage. Looks like I'm going to have to start using it for everything now. So this piece of junk, which costs nowhere near as much as that, still works after 10 years. That thing's dead after less than 2. Well, not technically dead, but it's going to be very, very hard to use, especially considering one of the things I wanted to do with this mic was take it out with stereo mode and my netbook and record nature sounds with it in stereo. Guess that's not happening now that the slightest little jiggle uninstalls the microphone. Crippling designs. I hate it. You can technically get you can get the deluxe version of the Blue Yeti for hundreds and hundreds of dollars that adds a more standardized XLR jack. Well, the kind with the 3 big pins underneath that you see most microphones having these days, but sadly, this is USB only. They couldn't even use like mini out or anything like that for analog audio. So this thing is pretty much pointless without its USB port. Now, remember what I said earlier about the USB jack being complete crap on the Yeti? Here's the back of the Blue Snowball, which by the way you have to do some digging to find this picture because it, for whatever reason, all the official pictures of the Blue Snowball only show the front. But here's the Blue Snowball, and look at the USB jack on the back of this thing. I've never had one of these break. In all the years I've been using USB devices like scanners and printers, I've never had something like this break. It's always something like those mini jacks, like what I get with card readers and stuff like that, and what I've got with the Yeti. So, this is the budget microphone that Blue has in their USB microphones catalog. This is the budget mic. I can't say it enough. This is the budget mic. And it has a far superior USB jack on the back than the Yeti does. I am not going to try and figure that out. So what am I going to do about this? Well, let's just say that I have a ticket open with Blue support right now. I asked them simply, I said, the USB port is broken on my Yeti microphone. How much is it going to cost to get it fixed? Guess what response I've gotten? A computerized response saying, oh, we're going to respond to your ticket within such and such amount of time. A CSR contacted me, asked me where I bought it from. I said I bought it from B&H Photo and Video, late 2011. Haven't heard a thing since. So yay, yet another customer service help desk type place that gets tickets out of the queue and responds to your ticket quickly, asks you a pointless question, then never speaks to you ever again. It's been 3 days, 3 business days and counting, and I still haven't even... And I only asked for a quote. How much does it cost to replace a USB jack in a Blue Yeti? Because that's the only thing that's broken about it. And no response. Unbelievable. This Yeti will be my first and last Blue microphone. So what am I going to do with this thing? Well, if Blue doesn't get me a good answer, or doesn't plain answer me at all in terms of how much it's going to cost to get this thing fixed, and what I don't want to see, I don't want to suddenly get an RMA number. I asked a very specific question. How much does it cost to replace the USB jack in a Yeti microphone? And I want an answer. Because if the price is too high, I'm an electronics guy. I'm going to take this thing apart myself and either replace this jack, or I'm going to improve upon the design and put in something sturdier so this doesn't happen again. So, if Blue blows me off, Blue blew you off, interesting. If Blue blows me off, I'm going to make this into a mod project to try and improve upon its design. And this will be my first and last Blue microphone, because less than 2 years with this piece of junk at the price that it's at, while its competitor, the Shure SM58, has a reputation for being a workhorse in the same price range. That is, if you catch this thing on sale. If you get this thing from like Newegg or something for like $100 and a half, it costs more than an SM58, and you have these problems. Meanwhile, cheap $30 Radio Shack piece of junk that I bought back when I was a broke college kid over 10 years ago still works. Has never had anything go wrong with it. I haven't even had the cord go intermittent from too much of this, which is what I usually expect from a permanently attached cord like this. But the Radio Shack piece of junk still works at the expense of a little less sound quality. That thing, the minute you jiggle the cord, it uninstalls. I should have just gotten an SM58. And now, with things being the way they are with me, I'm in no position to be replacing it. I don't have the money to go out and buy an SM58. Although I could mess with my budget enough and live off a dollar store soup long enough to afford it. But this is the thing. Barely 2 years. Actually, not even 2 years out of this. Barely 1.5 years. Over 10. While this thing cost about 3 times as much as that. Yeah. How much more egg do you want to end up on your Gee, Blue, how much more do you want egg to end up on your face? What an embarrassment. But in spite of all of this is a symptom, not the problem. The Blue Yeti is what I like to call a miniaturization device. It takes something that a big professional grade something or another and shrinks it down into a consumer version, similar to the Klipsch Pro Media speaker systems that used to dominate the computer speaker market, or even high-end computer speakers in general. They take a real audio system and make it into something with mini jacks for a computer, and whenever you have these kinds of miniaturization type products, you gotta look for the little catch-22s in their designs, like the cheap plastic, or the piece of junk mini USB jack, or something like that, or the device being so heavy that it falls over under its own weight most times. Yeah, This will be my first and last Blue microphone, and similar to what happened when I stopped using computer speakers and just made my computer home theater friendly so I can hook up a home theater system to it for sound and just use a home theater in a box instead of computer speakers, this will probably be the last one of these types of microphones that I ever get. So, I can't recommend Blue Yetis anymore. They're unfortunately plagued by some design issues that make piece of junk mics like that last many, many times longer than these things do. Anywho, till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.